A few of my past guests have suggested Cockroach Poker for a lunchtime game. I put it on my Christmas list a few years back, yet I never received it from friends, family, or even Santa Claus himself. One day, while perusing the local game shop, there it was, hanging on a pegboard. I was surprised that it was, in a very small square box that was barely 4 inches. I don't know what I was expecting, but not that. I immediately took it off the peg and purchased it for $10.99. Then it sat unplayed for a month or so, as many new games do once purchased by me. It wasn't until I was revisiting an old interview where the guest mentioned it that I remembered having bought it at all. So I found it, took it to work, and learned to play Cockroach Poker. In Cockroach Poker, you were trying to not collect sets of creepy crawler critters. However, the first person to collect 4 of a kind, they lose. They don't win. You're trying to bluff your way to victory. Can you lie better to your friends than they can lie to you? Test your hypothesis with Jacques Zeimet's Cockroach Poker. Welcome back to Lunch and Board Game. I'm your host, Adam Collins, and let's take a look at the rule clarity for Cockroach Poker. What can I say? The rulebook is very small, 4 pages front and back. Each of those tiny pages has a lot of negative space in it too. There are very few rules, and each are very clearly explained. Time to explain to newcomers. Because there are so few rules, it takes about 5 minutes to explain or less. I've explained this to 3 different groups so far, and each time it gets quicker and easier to explain. The one thing that takes some getting used to is knowing the 8 different critters. The more comfortable with them you get, the more confident you can lie or tell the truth. Gameplay. Cockroach Poker has a very simple setup. Shuffle and deal out the entire deck as evenly as possible. On your turn, you take a card from your hand. You place it face down on the table and slide it to an opponent. You then declare it to be one of the 8 critters: bat, frog, stink bug, fly, rat, spider, or of course, cockroach. You can be truthful or lie. It is your choice. The person that you set it in front of now has 2 options. First, decide whether or not you're telling the truth or lying. If they decide to take this route, the card is flipped up. If they guessed correctly, the card comes back to you, face up, into your tableau. If they were wrong, the card goes face up in front of them in their tableau. Their other option is to look at the card and then place it face down in front of a different opponent, declaring what they say it is, or quote-unquote confirming what you already said it was. Now, the third player has the same 2 options as the second player until someone calls the bluff. Of course, the card can't make its way all the way back around to who started, so if you're in a 3-player game, this can only go around twice, but in a 5-player game, this can go on for a few turns. Whomever must keep the card face up in front of them starts the next round. A cautionary word: if any player ever runs out of cards, that player is out and loses. That means if you are terrible at lying or telling the truth, you're going to deplete your hand quickly. Now, I have never seen the game in this way, as it typically ends in the other fashion. A player has 4 of the same critter face up in their ever-growing tableau. It is important to remember that there are 8 of each critter. Count what is out there, what is in your hand, and try to strategically play your hand. Or even better, read your opponents and keep giving them their cards back. Just remember, if a player ever runs out of cards or a collection of 4 of the same critter have been displayed in front of one player, the game is over and they lose. Everyone else is declared the winner. This is a game with multiple winners, but only one loser. Replayability. Cockroach Poker is addictingly fun. As soon as one game ends, you just want to shuffle up and redeal it. Every time I played it, it has been played multiple times. Its replayability comes from the fun and hilarity that it provides. Are you getting better or worse at lying? Do you think you know your opponent's tell? You want to play another game to see if you can win, or in my case, finally win. It took me about 7 games before I finally did not lose. Component quality. It is a standard stock deck of 64 cards. That's it. It is well made for what it is. Lunchtime potential. Yep. Lunch half hour, actually. The first time we played it in the office, we learned it and played it twice. We could have fit in a third, but we were interrupted before we could deal it out that third time. I took it to a game night and we played it 4 times in a row. Now, one game lasted only 5 minutes, as I tried a tactic that I do not recommend, was called on it, and lost again. When the game ended, I only had 5 cards in front of me, 4 of which were frogs. My opponents only had a combined total of 4 cards, so yeah, I lost that game fast and by a wide margin. Artwork. Rolf Voigt's artwork enhances the game. His take on the 8 critters is both funny and a bit creepy. No 2 cards are alike. Each of the creepy crawlies has a personality that just enhances the fun of the game. Each card also has a symbol matching the type of critter in the corner, like a standard deck of playing cards showing their suit. The back of all the cards has all 8 of these symbols on them. Other. There is a different version called Cockroach Poker Royal, but I have been unable to locate it. Best I can tell, it is similar in play, but adds royal versions of each of the critters. I do not know how this changes the play or the game, but as soon as I obtain a copy, I will be sure to let you know. Bang for the buck. Well, since I only paid like $11 and I've already played it over half a dozen times, I cannot complain about a game that is already at 50 cents per play. I look forward to more plays of it, as do my friends and coworkers. Summary. For Cockroach Poker, I highly recommend learning the critters quickly and be confident in your declarations. This is the key to lying well. If you hesitate or stumble, you'll be called out. Now, you could and should use this to your advantage, but then it becomes a situation like the poisoned wine scene in The Princess Bride. I can't trust you because you hesitated, but you could have hesitated to throw me off and stick me with a card. You get it. Cockroach Poker is a fantastic way to spend a lunch hour, half hour, or even 15 minutes. On Board Game Geek, it only has a 6.8 rating with over 13,000 ratings, but the thing that cracks me up the most is it has a 1.1 weight. Sure, it's not a heavy game at all, but dang, it is fun. And that can be seen as being the 76th overall party game and just over 1,000 overall ranking. That's pretty darn good for a deck of cards featuring creepy, crawly critters. As usual, you can reach out to me at facebook.com/eatlunchandboardgame or email me at eatlunchandboardgame@gmail.com. And remember, board games build bridges.